through the fencing here and travel about 100 yards into that open field behind me where she was found dead. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has identified the victim as 20-year-old Arvada resident Alexa Bartell. They say she was on the phone with her friend while traveling on the highway when the call suddenly went silent last night at about 10:45 p.m. Her friend tried calling Alexa back several times and then used an app to track her location to this open field. Her friend drove here and found Alexa dead inside the car.
We have a family that is broken this morning by the loss of their daughter. We don't understand why this happened. This is a 20-year-old girl who was simply driving home and is now the victim of a homicide. And we want answers. We want to know who did this, and we want to bring them to justice. This is terrible.
Authorities say this is just one of at least 5 incidents involving a rock being thrown at a moving vehicle last night, and they believe all of them are connected. The first incident happened at about 10:04 p.m. off 100th Avenue and Sim Street in Westminster. The second incident at 10:36 p.m. off McCaslin Boulevard in South Indiana in Boulder County. The third at 10:37 p.m. in that same location. The fourth one here in the 10,600 block of Indiana Street, which killed Alexa. And the fifth at 12:24 a.m. this morning off Highway 93 and Highway 72. Again, authorities are speaking to a person of interest. They're also pursuing several other leads right now. They're just asking anyone who thinks they may be a victim or anyone with information to contact them. And
yeah, that is outrageous. All right, Bayan, thank you. All right, take a look at your screen here. This surveillance video shows kids vandalizing Dakota Valley Elementary School in Aurora. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office says the kids were throwing rocks and breaking windows at the school's mobile unit. And they first did this back in March and then did it again just after midnight on Sunday. So again, have a look, call the sheriff's office if you recognize them or if you see suspicious activity near that school. All right, now we want to get back out to my co-anchor, Shannon Ogden, who is live along Clear Creek in Golden. Shannon?
Good evening, Ann. Good evening, everybody. I'm out here along beautiful Clear Creek to talk about the power of water. So this is an initiative that Denver 7 is producing along with ABC News. We are focusing on this precious resource ahead of Earth Day, which is Saturday. So I want to begin with keeping our water clean and drinkable. Columbia University researchers found that the drinking water for more than 1 million Americans has high levels of arsenic, and the problem disproportionately affects communities of color. We begin with Melissa Adon.
Our 2,500-gallon storage tanks.
On a family farm in California's Central Valley sits a small water treatment site that may be one solution to providing clean drinking water to residents. Allensworth became the first California town established exclusively by African Americans. Plagued by a history of contaminated water, in the late 1970s, Tekoa Kadara's grandparents helped start a mission to preserve and maintain clean drinking water for the community.
This water isn't good. The groundwater isn't good. It's not just Allensworth. It's many communities around here.
Allensworth's water has arsenic levels as high as 250 parts per billion. The EPA's limit is 10 parts per billion. And it's not just them facing this crisis. According to Columbia University researchers, more than 1.3 million Americans have public water with high levels of arsenic.
When somebody says arsenic, you're thinking, oh, that's going to kill somebody.
The World Health Organization says long-term exposure to arsenic can cause cancer and skin lesions. It's also been linked with cardiovascular disease and diabetes. The Columbia study found that higher levels of arsenic in public water are impacting mainly communities of color, especially Latino neighborhoods, at a higher rate, forcing families in Allensworth, now a predominantly Latino town, and many across the country to either buy water or drink the contaminated H2O. For many families, getting their hands on clean drinking water requires a trip, often to water kiosks where they get to fill up their water bottles and then take it home. But that journey isn't close by. We're talking of about at least 15 miles from Allensworth to the nearest water kiosk. But it's more than arsenic that is worrying residents. Government data analyzed by ABC News found that water districts in poorer neighborhoods with larger populations of people of color reported more EPA violations than mostly white, wealthier communities. Those cities often have water treatment facilities filter out many of these toxins, but according to Columbia researchers, many minority communities just don't have the resources.
The racial ethnic makeup of your community and how much money you make should not at all be associated with the quality of your drinking water.
At a certain point, do you feel forgotten?
To an extent, yes, but we are determined that we do our part in improving the quality of life in communities like this. Communities, not just this community.
The Kadara family has partnered with the University of California, Berkeley in setting up a water treatment site in their own backyard. But this solution requires funding.
If we can pull that off, then we've just taken arsenic out of the community's drinking water in its entirety.
Hope may be on the horizon. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Allensworth, California.
Now here in Colorado, the Test and Fix Water for Kids program requires all child care programs and schools that serve children through the 5th grade to test water for lead. Now testing has to be finished by May 31st. CDPHE tells us that more than 20,000 samples have been collected so far across the state, and more than 7% of the test results indicate levels of lead above the threshold that was established for this program. Now the threshold is, though, 3 times lower than the lead action level in the federal Safe Drinking Water Act. Providers are removing fixtures now. They're conducting more tests and working with the state to fix this problem. Now CDPHE tells us the program might even expand to middle schools if there is funding.